Hey everyone! Today we'll be talking about the Sanguinor, otherwise known as the Exemplar of the Host. An interesting figure within 40k lore, because nobody's truly sure where he's came from. Only that when he appears, the forces of the Imperium are really against the ropes. As always, if you enjoyed the video, please drop us a like, and maybe even subscribe to the channel. It really does help us out. The full origin of the Sanguinor isn't truly known, and what is merely speculation. However, the hero has been associated with the Blood Angels chapter, and their successor chapters. There seem to be two main theories which try to give a backstory to this fabled warrior. The first is that the warrior is the final member of the Sanguinary Guard, which survived the Horus Heresy. A warrior by the name of Axelion, which many would speculate that not even an Astartes could have lived such a long time. Well, let's remember that the warp does strange things, and if this warrior is seemingly the bringer of the Emperor's divine will, well, perhaps the Sanguinor is an entity from the warp. Some Inquisition sources have even speculated that the Sanguinor is a warp manifestation, born from the Blood Angel's need when under extreme duress. This has emboldened claims that the chapter is stepping closer to mutation, corruption, and therefore heresy. The second and perhaps more accepted theory is that when Horus slew Sanguinus, his soul was split in half. Half was filled with the anguish, pains, and doubts that he had endured over his actions during the Horus Heresy. This had become the very flaw that haunts the chapter to this day, whilst the other half was the noble and righteous form that was created within the Immaterium. I'm personally unsure of either. It could well have been a hybrid of both, that the noble and righteous aspects of Sanguinus flooded the remaining sanguinary guard, Exelion, casting him into the warp, maybe or even preserved by the Emperor's divine light. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Regardless of how the Sanguinor came to exist, the Blood Angels chapters see his coming as a harbinger of hope on the battlefield. And a true history of where the Sanguinor title originally comes from is a grisly tale. It was during the Horus Heresy that Guilliman, the Ultramarine Primarch, convinced his brother Sanguinus to take the mantle of ruler of the Imperium Secundus, the portion of the Imperium that was cut off from Terra due to the terrible warp storms that had engulfed the galaxy. With rule came fears of assassination, as attempts had already been made from agents of Horus on the Ultramarine Primarch. As such, Sanguinus was banned from public appearances. It was Axelion, the leader of the Sanguinary Guard, that convinced Sanguinus to allow one of them to act as his herald and to speak on his behalf. The Primarch agreed after much debate. 10 warriors of the Sanguinary Guard were gathered and drew lot, 2 of which were marked with blood. Those that didn't win were dismissed, leaving 2, Alatron and Haritron. Their lots were then placed in a grail, with one lot being finally drew. Alatron's name was finally drawn, and in order to preserve the identity of the newly appointed herald against enemy penetration, Haritral was executed by Axelion. If this wasn't grim enough, Axelion then drew a white-hot artificer-crafted helm shaped in the visage of Sanguinus's face from a blazing fire, and placed this over Alatron. This forever seared the Blood Angel's flesh to the helm, assuring his anonymity. It is unknown whether the warrior survived the heresy, and what role the Sanguinor played during this, and after the death of their gene father. This places much speculation as to whether the Sanguinor is Alatron or a wholly new phenomenon. The Sanguinor has made some notable appearances, and it should be reinforced that he does not appear on a whim, or when the Blood Angels simply faced a test. Neither can he be used to assure a victory. Only when the Blood Angels face truly dire circumstances will the Sanguinor offer his aid. A brilliant example of this is the action known as the Fall of the Terrorclaw. 12 Battle Brothers were ordered to strike a Night Lord battle barge, known as the Terrorclaw, and kill its master as penance for an unknown transgression. None expected the 12 to survive, for they were outnumbered many hundreds of times over. However, the Sanguinor saw merit within their task, and appeared within the group the moment the boarding torpedo broke through the enemy ship's hull. only taking a moment to bless the sergeant in command of the squad before cutting a bloody path through the Terror Claw. Whilst some would assume that victory would be easily won from this point on, it couldn't be further from the truth. Their passage was blocked by the Night Lord Heretic Astartes, which were a terrifying foe. The quest proved to be ultimately a success, with the sergeant slaying the battle barge's captain. However, the cost was dear, with only the sergeant returning to Baal to inform them of their triumph. While the name of the sergeant has been lost to Imperial records, what is known is that the presence of the Sanguinor allowed their doomed mission to become a possibility. A pretty incredible feat. The Sanguinor is a really awesome character within the 40k setting, and it seems to really embody the virtues of the Blood Angels chapter. Tell us what you think, and is there anything that we didn't mention? Remember, if you enjoyed the video, please do give it a like and hit the subscribe button. Cheers!